Bogone bupirima reka ele morena kawena reka ema ratswarana morena urehoge leseding waar die wilgers welig spruit, doringboom sy skadu sprei, soos ons groei in kundigheid, mag U ons lei. Sien ons hoe hier lei met die hand, laat U sien rus oor ons land. Strong streams united flow, Africa stands proud and tall. As we learn, we trust, we know, God is in control. Bless us, O Lord, guide us with grace. May Northwest be blessed always. Bless us, O Lord, sien ons hier. Ore Jehovah Morena, sien ons, bless us, O Lord.
Goeienaand aan almal van u. Ek is gevra om die skriflesing te doen. Jy gaan vir my verskoon as ek dan Afrikaans praat, maar ek sien julle sing ook in Afrikaans en ek kom uit die Vrystaat uit. So ek het dan die voorreg om dit te doen. Ons verbintenis met Welma, Johan en die familie is vir ons baie kosbaar. As ek nou aan vanaand dink, dan dink ek daaraan om te sê dis net een groot vreugde en blydskap en opgewondenheid om saam met Welma te kan wees en hierdie groot aand in haar lewe te kan deel. Nou wat anders kan ek nou lees as ons dit vir mekaar sê van blydskap, dan lees ek vir u in Psalm 100, die bekende Psalm 100, 'n dankpsalm. Juig tot eer van die Here, almal op aarde. Dien die Here met blydskap, kom voor hom met gejubel. Erken dat die Here God is. Hy het ons gemaak en ons is syne. Ons is sy volk, sy eie kudde. Gaan sy poorte binne met dankliedere. Sy tempel met lofsange. Dank hom, prys sy naam, want die Here is goed. Aan sy liefde is daar geen einde nie. Sy trou duur van geslag tot geslag. Ek wil graag 'n paar woorde sê, 'n paar gedagtes wat ek neergeskryf het, wat ek graag met jou wil deel, Welma, en met die familie en Johan en Waldo en Johanne en elkeen van u wat u vanaand is. God is altyd besig met mense, wonderlik. God se hart gaan uit, sy hart is oop vir die wat hy geskaap het. Daarom het hy sy enigste seun gegee. Hy het die wêreld so lief gehad dat hy sy seun gegee het, sodat ons die lewe kan hê. Van wanneer af het God met soveel liefde bemoei oor die mens? Van wanneer af? Van geboorte? Nee, en dis die wonderlike, voorgeboorte. Daar staan in Jeremia 1 vers 5, voordat ek jou in die moederskoot gevorm het ek jou geken. Voordat jy gebore is, het ek jou aan my gewy. Jesaja 43 vers 1 sê, ek het jou op jou naam geroep. Jy is myne. Elke baba, elke mens wat gebore word, is God se skepingswerk. En ons eer hom daarvoor. God laat vaar ook dan nooit sy hande werk nie. As hy met ons begin het, dan stap hy saam met ons deur hierdie lewe. En hy is die pottebakker, en ons is die klei. En dit sal altyd ook so wees. So is dit ook met jou en met my. En Welma, nou gaan ek 'n bietjie persoonlik raak ook. Welma, jy sal dit meer verstaan wat oom Kobus hierso sê, as hy self, en as baie mense hier, want jy het gespesialiseer hierin, spesifiek dan, want jy is ook lief vir mense, klein mensies, hulle wat prematuur gebore is. En jy leer studente en jy leer vir mense oor die wonder van God se skepping met hierdie mensies en hoe om hulle ook te kan begelei. Welma, maar jy is ook self so deur die Here geskape en gevorm. Dit moet jy weet. En hy ken jou. En hy het jou ook op jou naam geroep. Jy is sy kind. Daarvan kan ons almal ook getuig, jouself. En jy is geroep en hy het jou bekwaam gemaak vir hierdie wonderlike beroep wat jy beoefen. Om dit ook so te doen dat mense aan God die eer en sal bring, die wonderlike genade sal raak sien van die Here en sy liefde sal ervaar. God het jou geseën met 'n wonderlike beroep. En daarom is ons vanaand hier. Nou wie is nou eintlik vanaand hier? Ek het nou al eintlik genoem, wie is nou eintlik die naaste aan jou hier? Natuurlik, wat is jou naam nou weer daar langs jou? Johan. En ons het reeds vir Waldo genoem, en daar sit Johanne. En dan volg ons natuurlik, en daarom is ons net so bly dat jy ons genooi het om hier te wees. En dan volg die jou ouers, en dan volg ook jou ouers, Johan, en die broers en die susters wat vanaand hier kan wees, en almal kan ongelukkig nie hier wees nie, en ons as vriende, en so kan ek aangaan, en akademiese medewerkers en dosente, en ons wil net vir jou sê, ons het so baie groot waardering vir jou. Daar's soveel liefde wat in jou gelê is, soveel passie vir die saak waarvoor jy leef, deur die Here se genade. Daar's vir ons ook saam met jou baie blydskap vanaand. En daar is groot dankbaarheid teenoor die Here vir wat jy vanaand ook erkenning voor kry en waarvoor ons die Here prys. Ja, ek sluit af. Jy het van kleindag af 'n droom gedroom oor jou roeping, en dit als het nou waar geword, die droom. Want jy sien, God het ook oor jou gedroom, en God het dit waar gemaak. En die Here sê, hy is vol vreugde oor jou. Hy is stil tevrede met jou. En hy jubel oor jou. Sefanja 3, vers 17. Die Here seën jou. Kom ons maak die oë toe. Here, aan U al die lof en die aanbidding en die dank vir hierdie wonderlike geleentheid Ons prys U groote naam, want Here, U het dit gegee. U gee ons gawes, U gee ons liefde, U liefde. U laat gebeur wat U gewil het ook vir haar lewe en steeds gebeur. Aan U dan die eer en die lof in die hand. Dankie ook vir hierdie universiteit, Here, waar sy haarself ook of steeds uitleef. Dankie vir kollegas wat vir haar liefhet en ondersteun. Ons prys U in familie, Johan en kinders, ouers, broers en susters, en die akademiese personeel en studente, wat almal vanaand miskien juis graag hier sou wil gewees het. Laat die res van die aand ook tot U eer wees, Here. Ons loof U in Jesus naam. Amen.
Goeienaand dames en here, good evening ladies and gentlemen. I am Avi Kotze, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, and it's an honor and a privilege to do the welcoming at this inauguration ceremony of Prof Welma Lubbe of the School of Nursing in the Faculty of Health Sciences at the Noordwes-universiteit Potchefstroom campus. A special word of welcome to our Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research and Innovation at the Northwest University, who have just recently joined us, who is our main functionary this evening. It's really an honor, Prof Jeffrey, to have you here with us, Prof Jeffrey Mapalelele, and we are looking forward to your continued support, loyalty, dedication, and friendship to this faculty and its staff members. And he has the privilege this year. This is our 4th inauguration to do the 2 nurses who are coming from the School of Nursing, Emerentia and Welma. So he seems to have a special bond with the nurses, and we hope that this can continue in future also. I also welcome Reverend Kobus Dippenaar, who has opened the ceremony with scripture reading and prayer, and also his wife Lise. Dippenaar, thank you for coming all the way from the Free State to the special occasion for Welma, and thank you for the words of wisdom that you have spoken, and just to remind us again where we are from and what our purpose in life is. Welcome also at this ceremony. Welcome also to other members of the University Management Committee and Senior Management Committee who might be in attendance. I don't see any of them here, but I know that there's a lot of them who will afterwards follow the ceremony by virtual means. They normally do that. I also welcome members of the Faculty Management Committee of the Faculty of Health Sciences in attendance tonight. So welcome to Prof Alida Herbs, the School Director of the School for Psychosocial Health in the Faculty of Health Sciences, Prof Marius Smits, Research Director of the Center of Excellence for Nutrition in the Faculty of Health Sciences, Prof Karen Minnie, who is sitting next to me, Research Director in Quality in Nursing and Midwifery, and this is a research entity in which Welma is also doing part of her research. Then other directors here, Prof Elmarie Deacon, the Deputy School Director for the School of Psychosocial Health on the Potchefstroom campus, somebody close to Welma, Dr. Elsabe Borman, the Deputy Director of the School of Nursing on the Potchefstroom campus, and Dr. Matsapani, the School Director of Nursing from Afrikaans, has specifically phoned me this afternoon to offer once again his apologies for not being able to travel to Potchefstroom. And then also Dr. Sunay Scholes, who's the Deputy Director of the School of Nursing at the Vanderbijlpark campus in the Faculty of Health Sciences. I'm still used to call it the Val campus, but it's now officially the Vanderbijlpark campus. Then a special word of welcome to all the staff members of the School of Nursing, the school in which Prof Welma works, and all her colleagues and collaborators which I see here tonight. In particular, also a word of welcome to postgraduate students that might be here and former postgraduate students who are present here tonight, and also welcome to our staff. Then a special word of welcome to the near people, die naby familie en die naby mense van Welma, her family and friends and special guests that are here tonight. So I would like to welcome Johan Lubbe, her husband, her daughter Johanay Lubbe. Johanay, het maar vir jou 'n nuwe rok gekoop. Ek maak net seker, maar het vir jou 'n nuwe rok gekoop. En her son Waldo, hy is 10 jaar oud. Waar is Waldo? Is hy besig? Ek wil net seker maak hy kry 'n speelding, want sy kan dan nou nie 'n rok kry nie. So Waldo sal môre 'n speeldingetjie moet kry, Welma. So nee, maar 'n hemp tel nou nie vir 'n seun nie. So Waldo, môre moet maar vir jou 'n speelding koop, nê? Nee. Want sy het dan 'n nuwe rok gekry en daai rok was duurder as die nuwe hemp gewees. Baie geluk ook in julle as familie met hierdie pragtige prestasie van Welma. Then her parents, Arend and Nelly Pretorius, her brother Arend Pretorius Jr. and his wife Elske Pretorius, her mother-in-law Marga Lubbe, also a word of welcome to her brother-in-law Ben Lubbe and her sister-in-law Adelheid van Zyl, and then a special word of welcome to Dr. Ensa Johnson from the University of Pretoria. Is she here? Where are you, Ensa? Where are she sitting? Welcome, thank you for traveling from Pretoria to be with us here. I know that you have a very special place in Welma's program. And we appreciate that you have joined us this evening. Then Prof Marlene Viljoen. There she's sitting right behind Welma. And Prof Jeffrey, that's a legend. Prof Marlene Viljoen is the previous Dean of Health Sciences. So I'm Dean already for 9 years, so she was before me the Dean of Health Sciences. But she was also, at some stage, and I won't give Welma's age away here, and Prof Marlene's age, she was also the Vice Dean at the University of the Free State, where Welma has done her undergraduate nursing studies. So they are coming a long way, but she was also the acting school director in the School of Nursing for Prof Marlene approximately 2 years plus, after I became the Dean. 14 months. There she has it exactly. As I say, a legend. I haven't seen somebody who remember a date like Prof Marlene so exactly good. So Prof Marlene, thank you very much. We are so glad that you can join us here this evening. It's so special for Welma, and I think also for the School of Nursing and for our colleagues here. I hope you enjoy it. It now gives me great pleasure, colleagues, to introduce you to our special guest of the evening, Prof Welma Lubbe, and I request that she join me in front here in order for me to introduce her. If I miss an advanced, click to advance. Welma has threatened to come and take this thing from my hand and to do it, and then I just need to read. So Welma, let's hope that I can do it correctly. So it's a pleasure to introduce Welma to you. Welma Lubbe was born in the Free State province in Sasolburg as the eldest daughter of Arend and Nelly Pretorius. She matriculated in 1992 from Afrikaans Hoërskool in Sasolburg. Welma is married to Johan Lubbe and they have 2 children. Their eldest daughter, Johanay, is 12 years old and their son, Waldo, is 10 years old. Welma graduated from the University of the Free State with a B Social Science in Nursing in 1996, and that is the time when Prof Marlene was the Vice Dean there at the University of the Free State. Thereafter she completed her Baccalaureus Curationis Honours degree through the University of Stellenbosch, where she graduated cum laude in 2000. 2002 she obtained her diploma in nursing education, also cum laude, and also from the University of Stellenbosch. And in 2004 she completed her master's degree MTech in nursing from the former Technikon of Pretoria, known as TUT now. In 2010, she obtained her Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing with Midwifery and Neonatal Nursing from the Noordwes-universiteit with the thesis title Best Practice Guidelines for Neurodevelopmental Supportive Care of Preterm Infants, of a Preterm Infant. Welma started her career as a clinician in 1998 in the Western Cape and then moved to Gauteng, where she worked in some of the largest neonatal intensive care units in the private sector. She then started a private practice, Little Steps, in 2005, while still working as neonatal nurse and part-time lecturer. During this time, she consulted on neonatal care issues for companies such as Dräger Medical in Germany, well-known company, was invited as guest lecturer to Saudi Arabia and served on international committees such as the Council of International Neonatal Nurses as South African representative and the International Advisory Board of a Journal of Neonatal Nursing from 2009. Welma enrolled for her master's degree due to a strong awareness that the role of parents are not optimized while their babies are admitted to the neonatal intensive care units. She realized that the hospital takes ownership of the babies until they are ready for discharge, and then parents must care for them without being sufficiently prepared. This led to her master's degree in developing an intervention program for parents of neonates, but also give birth to the first South African evidence-based website on prematurity. As a result, Welma founded Little Steps in 2005 and the South African Neonatal, Infant and Toddler Support Association in 2004. She became a frequent guest on radio, national television and parenting magazines, and in addition were invited as academic advisor for various baby companies. During her later formal academic career, she was invited as neonatal academic advisor for hospital groups such as the Life and Lenmed hospital groups, but also worked with Mediclinic and Netcare. In 2008, Welma wrote the first South African book on prematurity titled Prematurity, Adjusting Your Dream, of which the second edition is currently in print. Welma joined the Noordwes-universiteit in 2010 as full-time academic in the position of senior lecturer within the School of Nursing. She was promoted to associate professor in 2014 and to full professor in 2021. She took a pause from academia with the birth of their second child in 2011, but has reached all her career highlights despite fighting and surviving breast cancer twice during recent years. And this is making her so special for us in the faculty also. During her time at the Noordwes-universiteit, Welma excelled as an academic. Her achievements include being an institutional Teaching Excellence Award, the recipient in 2014, and the winner of a Distinguished Teaching Excellence Award in 2017, the highest teaching award awarded to academics at the Noordwes-universiteit, and the only member of a School of Nursing to receive this award. Consequently, she was also nominated for the Altasa Award, the national level award for teaching excellence. Welma was also invited as external promoter for her PhD studies at the Witwatersrand University and the University of Pretoria based on her expertise. Welma continued her groundbreaking work by also being the supervisor for the first postdoctoral fellow within the School of Nursing at the Noordwes-universiteit. In her relative short academic career, Welma supervised 15 masters and 3 PhD students and 1 postdoctoral fellow. Currently, she is supervising another 5 PhD and 6 master degree students. Her supervision reaches cross disciplines and focus on babies. She has also been invited as visiting professor to Finland to share her research. Welma obtained external research and project funding to a value of more than 2 million from research and industry partners, including the National Research Foundation, South African Medical Research Council, the Noordwes-Universiteit, and Pfizer. On a research level, Welma currently has an H-index of 7. She has a total of 44 publications, of which 23 are peer-reviewed publications in high-impact journals. To highlight a few that really make an impact in her field, and especially in the clinical context, for clinicians working in hospital settings, one can mention the 2012 article from her PhD that has been cited already 32 times. The single-authored debate article challenging the use of pacifiers within the baby-friendly hospital context has been cited 31 times, while her article on tube to oral transition in the preterm infant has not only been cited 45 times, but the diagram explaining the process has also been translated to and published in a Turkish journal. The article in New BFHI Compliance, a 56-country survey for which Welma was the South African lead, received the award for being the top downloaded article in the prestigious Maternal and Child Nutrition Journal from 2017 to 2019. Her largest impact to date falls within the COVID pandemic, with a review article with international authors where she is the lead author for the article on breastfeeding during the COVID-19 pandemic. A very relevant and ethical dilemma within this challenging times. This article has been cited 44 times since its publication in September of 2020, which is a noticeable accomplishment within this subject field. Welma is a principal investigator for the research program Implementation of Neurodevelopmental Supportive Care, or INDESC, which aims to facilitate the implementation of neurodevelopmental supportive care in all hospitals in South Africa. Her community involvement includes participating in the annual World Prematurity Day celebrations by means of lay publications, radio and TV interviews, and as a invited speaker at various events. She was involved through her PhD student in the development of a parent journal and audit tool on neurodevelopmental implementation in the Life Healthcare Group, after which she was also invited as academic advisor for community practice for neonatal nurses in 2020. Since 2019, she is a neonatal program advisor for the LENMED Group, which has also an African footprint. During 2019, she was invited as expert onto the Message for Mother, or the M4M group, which is a coalition of organizations including Perinatal Mental Health Project, Embrace, Grow Great, and Side by Side. Message for Mothers provide messaging context, amongst other platforms, to the South African Medical Research Council and the National Department of Health for the South African Framework and Guidelines for Maternal and Neonatal Care during a crisis pandemic-19 response. Welma is also an industry product advisor and consulted for companies such as Huggies and Pampers, Snuggle Time or Grow Baby, and professional advisor for the well-known brand Baby Sense. So if you are in need, everyone who are still planning to have a baby, for some Huggies, Pampers, you know who to contact for that. Welma frequently also features on television, radio, printed, and recently other electronic platforms such as podcasts and YouTube channels as prematurity expert. Welma is an invited expert for parenting magazines such as Your Pregnancy and Baby since 2012, and also featured in this popular community platform as a leading expert in the field of newborn and preterm care. Welma's ability to bring research, teaching and community involvement together is exceptional. I think we have seen it from this presentation that we have done. In the field of prematurity, she developed various easy to understand, evidence-based products for clinicians, such as the Little Steps Visual Guide to Neurodevelopmental Supportive Care and the National or the NDSC Clinical Guide. She co-conceptualized and led the Starfish project that is rolled out in the Northwest Province with a visible impact on improved patient care. However, her great passion for returning the parenting role to the parents of preterm infants is visible from parenting products, which is also widely used in training of novice healthcare professions in the field of neonatal care, such as the Little Steps Swaddle Bath, the Neurodevelopmental Supportive Care Short Learning Program, and the online Little Steps Parenting Program. Welma is most excited when receiving feedback from a mother after supporting her to successfully breastfeed her newborn baby, or to hear that her book or website or any other platforms empowers them in caring for their fragile babies. After all, this work aims to improve the life of premature babies and their families. You will all agree, ladies and gentlemen, that this is truly a remarkable academic record, and that you seldom find that someone has such a balance in doing research while still teaching and being the best lecturer in a particular year at the university, and also take that two components of our tasks as academics and implement it in a tangible way in the communities and in very specific ones. And I think this is something that Welma has done perfectly well, and this is why she's standing here tonight. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I will now proceed to hand over the academic ware to Welma and invite her to deliver her inaugurational lecture with the title, The World Through the Eyes of a Preterm Baby. Congratulations, Welma, from my side, the school and the faculty, but also the university, and enjoy your presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to share this celebration with me. I'm really honored to have the people here that are close to my heart on different levels in my career, in my personal life. While I was reflecting on the CV that Prof Avi presented, it became clear to me again that no person is an island. None of us can reach these achievements on our own. And therefore, it's the input of many people in my life that helps me and contributed to me standing here before you tonight. I'm therefore also very excited to share with you the academic work that I've done over the last decade, and I hope that you will find this field of prematurity just as exciting and special as I do. So, and Prof Avi did indeed forget to advance one of the slides. It was supposed to end in black, but it's okay. Thank you. You did a good job for the rest. So tonight I would like to take you on a journey and hope you can experience with me the world through the eyes of a preterm baby. Our guide on this journey is Gemma, a preterm baby born at 27 weeks, weighing a mere 720 grams. Coming into the world too early may result in a lot of stress for the preterm baby. However, to understand this better, it is important for us to understand the baby's world and what they are exposed to, in order to provide them with the best optimal outcome. It's however more important for us as healthcare professionals working with the premature babies to also support the parents so that they can reclaim their parenting role in caring for these babies, and to help them and to facilitate bonding and therefore, at the end of the day, healthy families. So I'm presenting to you the world through the eyes of a preterm baby. So if we start with this, we need to understand the intrauterine or the womb environment. It is the best place for an unborn baby to be, because in the womb the fetus is protected and the mother provides them with all the necessary physical support that they need, including controlled light and sound, day and night rhythms or diurnal rhythms, the right temperature, symmetric growth and optimal nutrition, as well as oxygen. Furthermore, the womb supports the fetus in a flexed position, which helps her with self-regulation, something I'll come back to. So you will also always see the hands that are close to the face or close to the mouth. And the feet are pushing against the amniotic sac, providing boundaries. And the baby then is supported by and surrounded by the warm amniotic fluid, providing warmth, cuddles, easy movement, and special sounds and tastes. So the fetal development period, or the pregnancy, can be divided into 3 trimesters. The first trimester is weeks 1 to 12, the second 13 to 24, and the third trimester is weeks 25 to 40. Now, when a baby arrives too early and is still viable, it means that the baby has been born in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. So the chances of survival increases the older the baby is, or the longer the gestation or the pregnancy goes on. But similarly, the risk for complications also increase as the baby is younger. So the younger premature baby have higher risks for long-term developmental problems. So to explain this a little bit more, we can look at the fetus development, and the fetus develop in a sensory sequence. And this sequence is very specific, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So by 24 weeks, all the sensory systems are functioning. However, the modulational input, or how this function, is not 100% complete until 35 weeks. Therefore, the preterm baby, which is a baby born before 37 weeks, can be overstimulated extensively when born too early. So there's 7 sensory systems that we're going to look at tonight during the fetal development, and they happen in a very specific sequence. So the tactile system, or the touch system, is the first one that develops very early in pregnancy, already when mom realizes that she is pregnant. So when she realizes that she's pregnant, she will use her hands and put it on her abdomen, providing nice deep pressure for the baby. Now, if the fetus is developing at that stage, they have a tendency to move away from touch in order to protect themselves. But the mum providing positive pressure on the abdomen helps the baby to overrule this negative withdrawal reflex, and the baby then moves towards the touch. And this is very important. So if you didn't plan on your pregnancy, then later on there may be bonding problems because of this early bonding that did not take place. So if we look at the sensory receptors, they develop from the face, the nose, and the lips, and then continue to the palms and the soles by 12 weeks, and the abdomen by 17 weeks. And this repertoire of touch include pain and pressure and temperature. Therefore, this deep, firm touch is very important, and this is what the womb then provides to the baby. The next system to develop is the vestibular system, or the movement and the muscle tone system. And this also develops by 8 weeks of pregnancy. And it helps the baby to tell him what his orientation in space is. Also, in this time, the baby's legs are flexed. They push against the amniotic bag, and this provides the babies with boundaries. So if you thought it's only teenagers that test boundaries, that's not true. The baby in the womb will already test their boundaries. So they will stretch, feel the amniotic bag, and come back to that flexed midline, where is the place where they feel secure. Also, in the amniotic sac, there is fluid filling the sac, and this provides the baby with a gravity-free environment where they can float and move easily, helping them to bring their hands close to their midline and calm themselves. A very important skill which they need after birth as well, and which we then need to support. Now, the next system to develop is the taste or the gustatory system. This also develops by 8 weeks, and by 13 to 15 weeks, these taste buds on the baby's tongue, and they sensitive and the same, working the same than an adult's taste buds. So the baby can taste salty, bitter, sweet, and sour different tastes. Now, we know this because of experiments that have been done and the baby being presented with these different tastes. And if it was a salty or bitter taste, the baby would pull faces in utero. If it was a sweet face, the baby will start sucking in utero. So how does this work? The baby tastes what mum tastes. So if mum preferred chocolate in her pregnancy, then say if you're a chocoholic, it's because your mum liked it in pregnancy. So if mum preferred that, the mum would taste the chocolate. It will be absorbed by the mucous membrane, move into the bloodstream, cross the placenta, and the baby drink up to 760 ml of amniotic fluid per day. In this way, the baby learns the tastes that mum are exposed to. So that is pretty amazing, I think. Then the next system to develop is the olfactory or the smell system. Now the smell system is very similar, it develops in a similar way to the taste system. So again, what mum smells is also then absorbed, go through the mucous membrane, the bloodstream, cross the placenta into the amniotic fluid, and the baby then learns these different smells. Now there are good smells and bad smells. So noxious smells include cleaning chemicals, adhesives, bonding products, alcohol, and pleasant smells, on the other hand, is associated with things that would calm the baby. For example, smells of chocolate or coffee, if that's what the baby prefers. So overstimulation of noxious smells will cause a negative physiological effect in the baby. So the baby's heart rate can start racing, the baby breathes faster, and this all is negative for the baby. Now, if we need to separate a mum and a baby after birth, we can also use smell to work through or work against this negative impact that the baby have. So we can, for example, provide the baby with a toy or a blanket with which mum slept with the previous night, place that with a baby or something that smells like breast milk, and that will then have the effect of calming the baby down. So if mum really need to go to the shops or just have an hour of sleep, then granny can take the baby with a blankie that smells like mum, and then the baby should be calm and relaxed even if they were somebody who is not their mother. Then the next system to develop is the auditory system or the hearing system, and this is developed by 20 weeks of pregnancy. And it is completely developed by 24 weeks of pregnancy, which is about 6 months of pregnancy. So already in the 80s, it was shown that the baby in utero can distinguish different sounds and different voices. So they can distinguish which voice is mum's and which is dad's. Now also in the womb, all the baby hear, or the baby hear a lot of things. They hear the gurgle of the mum's tummy, they hear the blood rushing, they hear mum's heartbeat, and the baby is the only one that can hear mum's heartbeat from the inside of mum's body. Nobody else can hear it in that way. So what does the baby hear? Now, before you all feel that, oh, I can't listen anymore, let's do an activity. So let's bring a little bit of class in. So I would like you on the count of 3 to say, good evening, it's a lovely evening. All right, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Good evening, it's a lovely evening. Now I would like you to repeat that, but I want you to cover your ears. Cover your ears. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good evening, it's a lovely evening. Right, the second time, could you hear that that's quite different from the first? So the first time is what the baby hears when they are born. It's loud, it's harsh, but the first time was more, or the one with your ears closed is more muffled. It's softer. It sounds like you're underwater. And this is very important because if this baby is now born, they were used to the softer, muffled sounds. And now we bring them into this loud world where they need to react to everything that's happening around them. So that can be quite overstimulating for them. Then the next system to develop in utero is the visual system. Now there's not much to see in utero, just because it's a bit dark in there. But the baby can see changes in light and dark. So if the mum is sun tanning, then they can see an orangey glow. And therefore, there's no need for a lot of visual development early in pregnancy. And this is also very important because if the visual system develops too early, then the hearing and the smell doesn't develop that well. So here we can take the example of a puppy. If puppies are born, then their eyes are shut up until 10 to 14 weeks after birth. And the reason for that is so that they can more develop their hearing and their smell, which is then survival skills for them. If we surgically open the eyes of the puppy, then they do not develop these skills, and then they won't survive because they need these skills to actually feed. And the same happens with human babies. If we expose them to visual stimulation before the hearing and the smell is well developed, then that can also influence their hearing and their language development and therefore communication later on in life. Okay, so the other system that develops throughout pregnancy is the neurological system or the nervous system. So the nervous system is a complex architecture in the brain. And sometimes the baby is a bit eager to arrive, so they arrive a bit premature, and then that can have an influence on the brain architecture. So a baby that's born premature is a baby that's born before 37 weeks of gestation or pregnancy, and then that can also be divided according to the baby's weight. A low birth weight baby is a baby weighing less than 2,500 grams at birth. A very low birth weight baby less than 1,500 grams. An extremely low birth weight baby, or what's also known as a microprem baby, weighs less than 1,000 grams at birth. So when we discuss the development of the functioning of the brain, we need to focus on the neurons. The neurons is the network that is working in the brain. So these neurons are very important because they connect to each other, and in this way it helps the baby to process information and it helps with the development and so forth. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, but it's important to know that the more we stimulate a baby by talking to them in utero, by moving around, the better this neuronal network will form and there will be better connections for the baby. If that baby don't get the stimulation, then there's less of these development that happens. So I'm going to show you some pictures, a figure from Takahashi and colleagues, which demonstrate the brain development during pregnancy. Now, if we look at this first one, then you can see the brain that have all the functional structures that the baby need, but the brain surface is smooth. So there's not a lot of grooves that is seen on the brain surface. At the bottom, you can see then a brain that was done with a scan, a magnetic resonance scan. And in this scan, they've looked at the direction in which the neurons fire, in the direction in which they work. So if it's blue and green, then it's one direction, and later on we'll see they add some color like pink. So then there's another direction, which tells us this complex architecture of the neurons is happening in this period. So at 17 weeks, the baby is not viable yet. 20 weeks, the baby may be viable. However, in South Africa, usually those are not the babies that get support, and they are usually classified as a miscarriage. But then we move on to our preterm babies, that is usually viable, and which we call also our microprem babies. So those are the babies that is about 28 to 31 weeks. And there you can see there's a lot of grooves and folds in this brain structure already. And you can see there's also a little bit of extra color on the MR scan that is already happening. So, and we also know that from 28 weeks, the chances for survival increases to as much as 90%. So the babies survive, but the long-term outcome may not correlate with the survival rate because of this brain structure that may be influenced. And then there's our baby at 40 weeks, so the full-term baby. So you can see between 31 and 40 weeks how much brain development is actually happening. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because this is the period when a premature baby is then exposed to other stimulation than that of the womb. So if we look at the premature baby development period, we would have wanted them in the womb where they have all the right touch, the movement, the taste, the smell, the sounds, and the vision that's optimal for their development. However, like I said, for a variety of reasons, some babies tend to arrive early. And these babies may be at risk for a lot of developmental delays and risks, and we need to do something to improve the environment to get it closer to the womb environment. So the interruption of the fetal development happens in the neonatal ICU. Although the neonatal ICU is the best place for the baby to be, there's the optimal machines and oxygen and people that can care for them and all of these kind of things. However, it's very important to know that this is not the womb. If you compare the pictures that I'm going to show to you now with what it is like in the womb, then it's so different. It's just not the same thing. So when Gemma was born, she was born at 27 weeks, 13 weeks premature, and she was admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit and placed on a ventilator to help her breathe. However, this was not necessarily the best place because the neonatal ICU have frequent bright lights, sleep is interrupted, it's loud, it's noisy, it's intrusive, and it's often painful. And this is a very scary thing for the baby, and that's one of the things that we need to address. So all this stress that the baby experiences over a period of time can then result in toxic stress in these babies, and that influences the brain structure. So in order to change the neonatal ICU environment to something that's closer to the womb environment, for my PhD, I developed the neurodevelopmental supportive care best practice guidelines for preterm infants. Now, these guidelines are used in a lot of hospitals, but there is also a lot of places that do not use it yet. Now, the term neurodevelopmental care means that we try and adapt the situation or the environment for the baby to be less stressful and to promote optimal development for this baby. And it was coined in the USA in the early 80s already. So this guideline includes 11 individual guidelines, which I'm going to show and share with you in a moment. So the first one that you see there has to do with the environment. That's always marked as pink. So that's the neonatal ICU environment. The orange section, which is more to do with the baby's direct care, is then in the middle. The green section at the bottom is about family care. And then the very last one, which I think bring everything together, is then the staff and the staff care and the staff involvement in the care of this baby. So just to let you know how the guidelines look, they've been color-coded and set out in a certain format, which can be then used in the hospitals next to the baby's bedside. To highlight a bit of that, every one of them starts with a heading. And the heading have a description as well, and I'm going to share them with you. It's then followed by the strength of the evidence that support this guideline, and then also a summary of the actual evidence that we used to determine this guideline and to formulate it. Following this, each guideline is then provided with a lot of literature that support this guideline, so a description of what you should actually do, and then a little bit more on a practical side, the implementation recommendations. So what should I actually do? If this is what the recommendations say, what should I do if I stand next to the bed of the baby? So let's have a look. The first guideline, the pink one that has to do with the environment, is then about environmental design, which imply creating an environment conducive for preterm infants' development, similar to the intrauterine environment. Now you will see there is a reference at the bottom of articles that's actually been done and studies that students worked on for each of the different guidelines or bigger studies in which we were involved. So if you look at this picture, by a show of hands, who of you see black blocks? Okay, I hope everybody. So who of you see a white background? Okay, fantastic. There's still some of you that will need to go to the to get your eyes tested. Who of you see grey spots in between the black blocks? Okay, there are no grey spots in between the black blocks. Okay, however you do see them. So that is a visual illusion. And this is what's happening with the baby as well. Now we are adults, we can regulate this a bit. It's not the screen. With a baby, however, if we wear clothes when we work with them in their visual space, and that clothes have patterns that's too busy for that baby, only that visual stimulation can actually overstimulate the baby. So it can cause the baby to change heart rate, breathing, drop their oxygen saturation, oxygen levels in their blood. It can cause them to stop breathing. So just the environment directly close to the baby can do all of these things. And that's something that we can control. We can change it. So wearing clothes and deciding on the right kind of clothes to wear is very important, because this is a cascading effect. If the baby stops breathing, then what they do is they send extra blood to the brain to provide the brain with additional oxygen levels. But the baby's brain structure, that little vessels on the brain, is too small, the blood vessels. So the baby sent extra blood to the brain to provide extra oxygen, but the blood vessels burst and cause a brain bleed just because it's too fragile and too immature. So this is what the ICU usually look like. It's busy, it's light, there's a lot of lights, it's bright, it's noisy, it's painful. And this is the ICU experience that Gemma would have. But we want to get Gemma to the point where she can have a close to womb kind of environment. And this is how we want this environment to look. Softer, dim lights, soft bedding, periods of quiet and rest. And of course, most of all, we would prefer the mother to be the incubator. The second guideline has to do with positioning. And positioning means placing the baby in an anatomical position which mimics the intrauterine position. So a position that brings the baby as close as possible to what the baby was in the womb. Now remember that picture that I showed you earlier of the baby in the womb. So this is how the premature baby often look. We'll place them nicely and neatly in their beds, and then they start looking for that boundaries. They need that boundaries. It provides them with security and support. So they will start moving around to find that boundaries, even if it's the hard part of the incubator. And then when they can't find that, they get exhausted. They use up all their energy stores, and they cannot go back to this nice flexed position. So what we need to do is provide them with an anatomical position. Boundaries that's soft and flexible and firm but not rigid, made of a material that provides a soft tactile input all the time. And use gravitation. If we place a baby on their side, for example, to bring the hands close to the midline and close to the face. The next guideline has to do with handling. And handling need to support flexion, containment, and self-regulation. So I'm going to show you 2 videos to demonstrate the handling in the baby. So the first video is a baby bath without using the principles of neurodevelopmental supportive care. And you can see it's very stressful. You can see the baby stretching the hands, crying, color change, all of those. But then the mother goes on and she used the towel to bring the baby's hands together. And I want you to see the change and the difference which that makes.
En maak jy boot en dan smeer die onder. Hand hier nie. Toe maar, anders maar voor toe. Ek kom die rug smeer. Ons smeer die rug. Dan draai hem lekker styf toe in die konversie.
Now it's been placed in a bath with water.
Onder die hande insteek. Lekker. Dit is heilig nie.
And look how he's focusing on his mum. In the second video, I'm demonstrating a similar thing, but where we use swaddling to bring the baby's hands to the face and to the midline in order for him to be calmed. Is there any one of you here who didn't like to be swaddled when you were a baby? Have your mum told you you never liked to be swaddled? You don't know. You must go and ask her. And if she says, yeah, you didn't like swaddling, then ask her if she straitjacketed you or whether she swaddled you. If we swaddle the baby with the hands down, then they can't bring their hands close to their face to self-soothe, like we've seen in that earlier pictures. But if we swaddle the baby like this, nice and tight, but with the hands close to the face, then we provide the baby with an opportunity to self-regulate and to self-calm. So it's very important that swaddling should not be straitjacketing. So there's a large body of research that support all of this, and the best place for a baby to be is actually in skin-to-skin care, also known as KMC or kangaroo mother care, or KFC, kangaroo father care. So in this picture, you see a mother doing skin-to-skin care. Her baby is 28 weeks old and weighs only 1.1 kilogram. Okay. But usually for these babies, we do not expect them to make eye contact. If they open their eyes for 10 minutes a day in a total of 24 hours, that's quite a long time. But here you can see that this baby is making eye contact with a mum. So placing the baby in skin to skin helps to build an architecture in the brain that is a positive place for the baby to be. So it helps to build that neurons, and it makes our babies clever. So we tell the mums and the staff that we train now as well, put your baby in skin to skin and give them breast milk. It makes them more clever. And then they do it. Then the fourth guideline speaks to individualized care, which means that we adapt care for each baby according to that baby, what that baby needs. Because what worked for one baby today may not work tomorrow. And those of you that have children or had children, you will know that that's very true. Today you can give them a red plate to eat from. Tomorrow that will be like death. It needs to be a green one. But it's the same for babies. What worked today may not work tomorrow. What worked for one baby may not work for another. So also to demonstrate this, I would like to show you a series of pictures. So we need to be able to read baby's stress cues in order to adapt the way that we care for them. So this baby has been provided with a toy for stimulation. Now the toy in this picture is correct because it's black and white, which is fine for a newborn baby. It's geometrical shapes and sizes, so that's good. So the baby is provided with this by the granny, and the baby yawns. So she thinks, oh, he's probably waking up. Well, that may be, but it's also telling her, I'm a bit stressed here. Then she continues with this, and the baby opens the eyes, and the mouth goes in a ooh configuration. He's trying to look away because he can't turn his head yet. And he's also pushing the hands out and saying, ooh, please get away from me. But Granny don't understand that. She thinks, oh, he's cute, he's talking to me. So she continues the stimulation. And the baby is showing a stop sign. So this is a severe sign telling you this is really overstimulation. And if you're not going to react on this, then I'm going to cry. And crying is not just bad because we don't like it. The baby uses a lot of energy and they get very tired, and especially if they're premature and they don't have enough energy stores, this can be detrimental. So here we can see the baby showing a lot of stress cues. We call this sitting on air. The legs are stretched, the fingers are splayed out, the color changes. So this baby is mottled, so it's a pale baby. And then you can see the veins which look like a spider web on the baby. So to help this baby get back to that nice womb kind of environment, we provide them with side lying, bring the hands together, use gravitation, and use your hands on the baby. So quick, another activity. I want you to take your hands, cross them over your shoulder, over your breast, and put them on your shoulders. Now I want you to exhale and make your arms heavy. Now this kind of pressure that you feel now, does it feel comfortable? I hope so. Thank you. So this kind of pressure is what the baby feels in utero. It's a similar kind of pressure. And that's why dads can calm babies down so much better, because their hands are bigger and heavier. And this is what the baby needs. Nice, deep, firm pressure. Helps the baby to relax. Then the fifth guideline is self-regulation. So this is the baby then provided with opportunities of self-regulation to support stress management, physiological stability, self-regulation, and it also helps with feeding support. So here you can again see a baby that's in stress. I hope you can identify that by now. And now we support the baby by placing him on his side, hands to the midline, providing a pacifier of the correct size and shape. And the baby is also close to the body, so there's some boundaries provided by the caregiver. The sixth guideline has to do with feeding, which is the most difficult milestone which a premature baby needs to reach. It's very complex and it's very difficult for them. So the feeding environment should be supported, and it's actually supported by all of the previous things that we already mentioned. So if those things are in place, then feeding comes so much earlier. It lays the foundation for Gemma's feeding success. So here you can see a baby that's really stressed, not ready for a feed, and then we know babies need to, they started with a drip, and then we tube feed them with a tube through their nose or their mouth, and then they continue to cup feeding, but they also need to be mature enough. They must show readiness cues before we can start cup feeding, otherwise we can actually make them choke, and they can get brain damage from that as well. So for that, and to guide us in that, there's the guideline, which also mentioned in the CV, to help the staff decide, how do I go from the one phase to the next? And how do I decide if the baby is ready to try an oral feed? So instead of just saying, oh, you're 2 kilograms today, so you should be able to feed, we rather have a look and see if the baby, is the baby awake? Do they make positive feeding cues, like a ooh sound, but not the stressed one? And are they calm and relaxed? Can they regulate their temperature and their breathing and so forth? A very important one is then the guideline on pain management. Now, babies in utero as well can feel pain, so we need to manage that. And we do that by providing the babies with opportunities of non-nutritive sucking. That includes sucking on your thumb, sucking on a dummy, and also providing the baby with sucrose, a nice sweet taste substance that we give them. But also breast milk is ideal to help baby to block a painful stimuli. So in the next video, you will see a baby that gets a heel prick, but there's no support given for the baby. So you can see how stressed the baby is. You can see the crying, the color change, the movement of the limbs, all of this telling us this is not a good experience for the baby, and that can actually have long-term effects on the baby. The next one, however, they've done a similar procedure, but they provided the baby with a pacifier with something sweet on. And what this do is that it actually blocks the painful stimuli. So the baby feel the pressure, but they don't feel the pain.
Hope they take the sound out of this, because you should have seen yesterday. I'm saying, wow, look at that facial grimace, how awesome.
Okay, so now the important part. The center of the baby's care is the parents. So Guideline 8 also talk about this. The family-centered care approach is there to support the parental empowerment and family involvement. And this is critically important. We need to have parents in the unit. And now with COVID, we've banned parents from the unit. And that separation can have a long-lasting effect. And we will see what that does in a few years. We don't know at the moment. And remember, dads who had a premature baby can also have postnatal depression. And we see that families fall apart after a premature birth because it's a traumatic event. And that can happen in a year or 2 years after that baby has been discharged from hospital. So in this slide, I would like to share with you a story that I received on Facebook, and I asked the mum if I could share this because it was for me so powerful. So Christina Matthewson shared her story titled, "We Don't Think She Will Make It." So here's her story. As I stayed on life support, while they tried to control the bleed and stabilize me, they were starting to lose hope. My doctor described it as if he was holding me mere by the heel of my ankles. This moment that you see in the photo was the turning point. I was being prepped to go in for my next surgery, and my ICU nurse wanted to capture a moment of both of us alive before I went in for surgery, which they didn't think I would come back from. Little Marcella was stable enough to come down from the neonatal intensive care unit. She was placed on my chest. In that moment, I remember waking slightly and touching the top of her head with my chin. I thought I was in recovery room after my C-section. For me, it had just been a couple of hours. And then I went back to sleep. At that moment, the nurse knew I would now fight to stay alive. The connection between mother and baby is so powerful, and in that moment, she saved my life. She gave me the motivation to keep going. So it's so important that we keep mothers and babies together, because this is where they should have been. They should have been in the womb, close to mum, hearing her heartbeat. So, in continuing with the family education and the family closeness, parental education is provided to support parent-infant interaction. And this was done by 3 extensive evidence-based resources available to parents of preterm babies in the neonatal ICU. In 2005, following my master's degree, I developed the first South African evidence-based website for parents of premature babies. And Dirk and Petra, here in the audience, helped me at that stage where we learned about websites. Oh, it was so new and it was so daunting. And now we just do it like this. So in 2008, I wrote the book Prematurity, Adjusting Your Dream, because I thought it would be so nice if everything is on the website and parents can access it and we can update it. But at that stage, we didn't have smartphones. So parents said, we're in the ICU, but we can't access the information. So I had to put it in a book format, and that's how I wrote the book. Now the book is currently in its 2nd print. And then in 2019, the online program for parents of premature babies was launched, and it can now be accessed via various platforms and technological devices. So this now just grew from the need that we had. So the feedback from parents following parenting workshops and reading the book is really the most rewarding part of my work. This is the area where my passion really makes a difference. Parents and professionals provide feedback, and they demonstrate that these resources, based on our available evidence, really is in the best interest of parents and babies, and empowering parents to become and take on the parenting role of their premature babies. So one mum stated, "Becoming a parent of a preemie is indeed a precious and awesome journey." As so well explained in this book, the author manages in an extraordinary way to guide you through the freaky moments and turn them into fabulous, life-changing experiences. This was Debbie Berger, the mother of the preterm baby that was the cover baby of my first book. So the 10th guideline is about staff and staff training, and you've heard earlier about the INDESC, or the Implementation of Neurodevelopmental Supportive Care, and this is where we really try to train and empower neonatal ICU staff to make a difference, to go to the place where you work and make a change where you are. And this is then also linked with leadership development. The last guideline is about the multidisciplinary team. And I think the team brings everything together. It's really the place where consistency should take place. And the team is also inclusive of the parents. The team would not have been there if there weren't no premature baby. And the premature baby and their parents are a unit. So it is so nice for me to see that training happened in some hospitals, and in this hospital it was a private hospital, but it was a very old building. I've done training many years ago there. And then the staff really took on the passion, and they went back, and the nursing staff said, we want this unit to look as follow and to function as follow. So they did a revamp of the unit, so that there's a place for the parents to be, a home which they can have when their baby is in the neonatal unit and they cannot go home. A place where they can have a cup of coffee, put their feet up and check their phone messages. And this is what we really want to see. We want to see a change. We want to see parents and premies being together. What do I want to do in the next 5 years? Prof Avi and all the other dignitaries here. It would be very nice if you can take note of the following. Prof Avi know my dreams. I would really like to see neurodevelopmental supportive care implemented all over South Africa in every unit, in the full impact that it has. But I would also like to see that our postgrad neurodevelopmental supportive care program, which we are busy developing, really runs in full steam, and that we have a center at the Northwest-Universiteit for babies and neurodevelopmental supportive care for the province, but also for babies outside the province. I believe that initiatives like this will ensure the optimal development of premature babies and their parents during this traumatic life experience. And as a result, we can all help to build healthy families and a healthy nation. I thank you very much.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Goeienaand. It's been a long evening, but we all enjoyed it, I guess. From what we had this evening, especially from the last two speakers. And not to say that I forget my reverend. And I can say that Prof Welma does not forget her roots because she's been able to remember, Free State and get the reverend from Free State. So well done, Welma. My job is quite easy because the last two speakers actually, they've done quite a wonderful job taking us through the academic achievements. I don't know how many years, but we have seen that this was really in the shortest space as possible. So I just want to start, Prof Welma, with my congratulatory message to you, to really congratulate you for all these achievements that you shared with us tonight. I must also recognize the family that is here today, your friends, colleagues, distinguished guests, and the management of the Faculty of Health Sciences, especially Professor Albe. So thank you very much for really honoring the invite and spending the evening with Prof Welma and most importantly with the university. Prof Welma, we all feel extremely privileged to be in your company tonight because this investiture ceremony for conferring the title of full professor to you is really a special moment, not just for you, but for your family, for your friends, and for all of us, especially the university, which helped you to achieve these goals, the vision, and the objectives, and helped you to find the purpose of what you have achieved. Really, this is just exceptional. So, all the best. I know that this is not the end. The future is still bright ahead of you. So, all the best. And I hope that you will continue to achieve more and more. So today is also a moment for you to reflect and rejoice. The fruits of your long toiling hours, perspirations, and tears, if I can add that, are clearly evident tonight. There's no question about that. So I think from my side, if I can just add a personal touch, is the fact that this is also a special moment, having really been invited to this Faculty of Health Sciences, especially the School of Nursing, in a space of 4 weeks, to really preside over these inauguration ceremonies. I know that, 4 weeks previously, we had the same ceremony, but for another colleague of Prof Welma. So it is a special moment, and I like to believe that we have to learn something, maybe from the School of Nursing. I know that I'm not saying other schools are not really doing well, but we have to learn something from School of Nursing. And I like to believe that the school is not short of talent. You have seen that. The school really boasts a pedigree, in inverted commas, of incredible academics and scientists who are really inspirational. And that is really important. Listening to your presentation tonight, it was just breathtaking. It was just moving. And for me, really, after spending so much time in the midst of, health professionals, this was just exceptional. And thank you very much for really imparting that knowledge tonight. I dare say that the school has got the space to teach some of us as academics how to really identify and nurture the talent, because some of us can't do that. I'm not saying this really with bad intention, but I know that some of us cannot we just don't have the skill to identify and nurture, the talent. So we have to come to the school and learn how you do it, and how you are able to really, develop this exceptional talent that we see today. So colleagues, it is always gratifying when one is able to recognize his or her talent, explore and apply it to the fullest, like we have seen with Prof Welma. And not just to apply it for the benefit of humankind. In other words, to transform their lives and livelihood. And we have seen that. So this is exceptional, Prof Welma, because it's not just about boasting of research outputs. Research outputs are important in academia, because we use them for a number of things. And the university requires research outputs. But research outputs without the meaning, without impact to our lives, I like to believe that although they're important, they can never ever match the significance of impact. So you didn't tell us more about your research output, you told us about the impact that your research has had over the years. So this is what science is about. So it's really about celebrating the scientific impact of what we do as academics, and not just looking at one side, which is the research outputs. And this brings me to the next part of my speech. And this is really important because we are all here today to witness you as you are welcome into the ranks, professorial ranks. So once again, warmest congratulations from me and from the university at large. This is really a milestone in your academic career. Today marks your transition into this distinguished community of university's most senior academics called professors. And we know what professors are known for. They are revered for their brilliance, for their exceptional skills and talent, for their authority, for their power, and also for their influence in the society. And I'm sure you have already started tasting and enjoying these privileges in the society. So well done. Continue to enjoy these privileges. But I dare say that this is not what drives academics. Academics are motivated by academic freedom, desire to generate knowledge, discover new things in life, improve the quality of our lives, and change the course of history, as you have shown us tonight. But they remain humble, dignified, and really well-meaning in every aspect you can think of. So that is also important, because it does not necessarily mean that because you are a professor, then you have to look down upon others. You should remain humble. You are still part of the society, and the society is still looking upon you and to benefit from you. So overall, from this presentation, which was really exceptional, I am pleased to see great things that you have already accomplished in your life. Very few people can do research and translate that into actions that can actually transform the lives. You know, the guidelines that you have shared with us, as it is your dream, you would like to see these guidelines being used in all South African hospitals where there are neonatal ICUs. I'm sure they will be used. Keep dreaming. Nothing should stop you to continue to dream, because one day you will see that the guidelines are being used in many or all the ICUs in South Africa. And you captivated us and captivated our thoughts and imaginations. I can't remember how many minutes, but almost, 45 minutes. I don't want to add what, Prof Albi had to say about your CV. But once again, that shows something remarkable about you. And I really enjoyed your topic, the world through the eyes of a preterm babies. And I think this is really an important, critical, and sensitive topic. Because as you can see the pictures, you can all see the trouble the preterm babies had to go through. Because they come into this life premature, often less developed. You have talked about the brain, but there are a number of things that can be less developed. It could be the lungs, and the preterm baby would require support, oxygen support, and all other necessary support. So the type of work that you do is exceptional, because for me, it's like you are between God and the world. And I don't want to say that, and people think that I mean it in a bad way, because nobody should ever play God. But I just want to say that the type of work that you do to really help these preterm babies to realize their lives and also grow to maturity and become exceptional people in life is really remarkable. And just continue doing that. So in closing, Prof Welma, I really like to take this opportunity to just congratulate you once more. And I would also like to join all other speakers to say that this ceremonial event, while it's about you, is also about the people who are the pillars of, I like to believe, the pillars of our success at our workplaces. And these are our families. Not only our families, we know that our colleagues and our friends are also the source of our inspiration and source of strength. So please keep doing what you're doing, because without you, we are nothing, and we will never be able to achieve our goals. But it's also important and equally fitting to acknowledge the role of the university, because an institution creates an opportunity for all of us as academics to realize our goals. So very, very important that you are part of this institution and you have been able to realize your goals being part of this institution. And finally, I heard about guests who are here tonight. And these are special people, because these are the people that you collaborate with, and they remain important. Because if you do this kind of a work, you can't do it alone. As you acknowledged, you need a team and a network of collaborators within South Africa and outside South Africa. So these are really important, a backbone of your research as well. So on behalf of the university management, congratulations once more. And I would like to really wish you great success on your future academic endeavors. And I know you will do well. And I still want to underscore that the future is still bright ahead of you. All the best. And I think this is the moment we have to do the honor to confer really the honor of professorship to you. Thank you, and all the best.
Thanks to
Well
you.
done.
Kom ons maak ons oë toe. Here, uit alles wat ons vanaand beleef het, sien ons u genade U wonderlike werking in ons lewe, en dan ook hoe dat U vir Welma gevorm het, gekies het, geroep het, en hoe sy in gehoorsaamheid U volg, en Here, dat die vrug van U werking in haar lewe so tot eer van U is. Ja, en dat die liefde net so opreg is soos toe U gekom het en U liefde in haar lewe uitgestort het, sodat sy dit kan laat deurvloei na die gemeenskap, soos ons ook nou gehoor het, en sy inderdaad doen. Here, ons weet, uit U en deur U en tot U is alle dinge. Here, laat U wil in haar lewe verder geskied en laat U koninkryk kom. U heerlikheid sigbaar is vir almal op hierdie aarde en wie sy te maak sal kry. Mag nou die genade van ons Here Jesus Christus en die liefde van God ons Vader en die gemeenskap van die Heilige Gees met ons almal wees. Amen.